Japanese scientists have discovered that when you flash freeze water, after conveying a certain emotion to it, the emotions can be quantified by the geometric structure it forms in the crystals. In that, I take this glass of water and I love it like you would a child. And I flash freeze this water. It will make these hexagonal patterns. And also, as a control, if I were to hold this water and have negative emotions towards it, then it would have a destructive structure towards the crystals in the water. How does this work exactly? Well, this is a water molecule. It's a covalent bond. And how this works is the oxygen is negatively charged and the hydrogens are positively charged. And they come together to make a water molecule. That's just one molecule. If we were to take this molecule and repeat it, you would think in theory that would all line up perfectly. Two hydrogens here and keep making this pristine crystalline structure. But alas, that is not the case. Because if I take a glass of water and I spin that around, that's not the only direction the water is moving in. The atoms themselves within the glass of water, they spin in an angular momentum in accordance with the magnetic field in its environment. So if I take an ionic substance such as salt, and I put the salt into the water, then you get sodium molecules coming in, and hydrogen molecules disrupting that wave in different octaves. Now, let me explain this. So, I take some salt, and I put that into the water. Electrolytes. This now has changed the internal angular momentum of the water. Okay? That's just sodium working on one octave. Well, I were to take iron filings, copper filings, trace elements that you find in the body and in foods, put them into the water. Then, these will be working on higher and lower octaves, creating different structures within the water, which you can see going back to this image. There's all sorts of little tiny different things happening. You put them all in the right balance, in the right way, just like filtered like the body, have a saline concentration of 0.9%. Then you can start forming these structures, just like music. So, take some oil, form of lipids. There we go. And we take some protein. Now, we've got everything we need for life. So, I take a magnet and put it to the water. Or, let's just say this mobile phone. The radiation, the magnetic field propagating from the phone interferes with the water, rearranging the internal structure of it. just like my hand beside it would have another frequency. Now let me explain this a little bit more clear with a guitar. You can take the same chord and just say C like you would read it on a sheet of music, but you can play that many different ways depending on how you're feeling. So I take a more aggressive approach. That sounds like interfering, rather than if you were to take a softer approach, a more loving approach to the chord. And you get a totally different result. Sounds nice and harmonious. What's that got to do with consciousness? Well, this is essentially how consciousness works. It's live. Worldwide. Okay, so after it's been left for a few moments, literally about 10 minutes, it's difficult to see out my primitive technology. But it's starting to look like a snow globe on the inside. And if you can see this, see the way the egg proteins are moving up and mixing with the oil. And the oil wants to go to the top, the salt catches in it and brings it back down. So it's kind of like a Franken chicken. And at the top layer here, that's like your phospholipid bilayer from biology.